Hey y'all, it's Cyber Saloon. So today I wanted to go over In Zero. I really liked this show. So before I do that, I kind of wanted to preface it about why I probably liked In Zero as much as I did. So everyone kind of had that big shonen anime that they got into when they first started watching anime. Like my first anime that when I got back into it was Sword Art Online, as I've discussed. But you generally watch a couple series after that, and then it's just you find that really big, show that has like hundreds and hundreds of episodes, and it's like a long, sprawling story, obviously based off of manga. For some people, that may be Bleach. For some people, that may be One Piece, Naruto, My Hero Academia. But mine was definitely Fairy Tail. I love Hiro Mashima, just his sense of humor, his art design, the way that he kind of builds worlds, that kind of fun, really fun kind of like joke, storytelling he kind of has. There are certain aspects, of course, that, I can see why, might bother people a little bit, power, friendship included. But overall, I really, really like Hiro Mashima. He's one of my favorite manga artists, and I really, really love his art style, the way he tells stories, the way he portrays characters. I like Hiro Mashima a lot. So after I heard that he was starting a new series, I was extremely excited. So I love Fairy Tail as a great kind of, story for the kind of magic and, this kind of high fantasy world where there's all these crazy creatures and everyone's just, using magic. So when I found out he was doing a space fantasy, not a sci-fi, I was really excited. Space fantasy is kind of like Star Wars, where it's not really grounded in reality. So if you think of like Star Trek, they have to explain it, even though it's kind of bullshit. Where it's like they try to make it make sense, but with space fantasy, like kind of like Star Wars, it doesn't have to make sense. So when I heard he was doing a new series on that, I was super excited. I finished it when it aired last year, and then I really wanted to do a video about it. I think I did this a video on episodes 1 through 12, but I kind of just wanted to do a kind of overview of the series. Not so much point by point of what happens, but just my thoughts on overall, because I haven't seen season 2 yet, and I want to kind of do this one before I do season 2. I want to wait till season 2, the first core finishes, before I kind of do a video on it. But I really, really love the first season. It is a big elephant in the room. I think part of the reason I don't think In Zero got as big as it probably would have was due to what it streamed on. I don't want to go on a massive rant here, but I do not like I don't like that it came on Netflix. I think Netflix kind of kills the popularity of a lot of shows in anime that it kind of gets the rights to. I want to do a kind of rant about that eventually, but this isn't really its here for. But anyway, so I ended up watching it. I played it on Netflix, sadly. And I really loved it. So first episode is really great. It's this great hook. It kind of reminds me, for those of you who've seen Fairy Tail, it reminds me a lot of, it kind of callbacks to that way, when Lucy first met Natsu, kind of the way that Shiki kind of first meets Rebecca in this, to where it as a great opening episode. First off, JC Staff did an absolutely great job in the animation. The animation throughout the series is absolutely beautiful. The shots of space, that sense of you really want to be there. All the cool looking planets and all the star fields they make. They did an absolutely great job animating it. Most of the environments look really, really good. But that first episode of where Shiki, she's there are these things called, of course, VTubers, where it's kind of like YouTubers, but on a universal scale. And Rebecca's trying to, get this fixed, that big video, that thing that kind of hits her 1 million views. I guess 1 billion views would probably be more accurate of probably where she lives at. But she's trying to get that big hit video. And she goes to this planet that's this. It used to be a planet theme park, and she goes there. Although it's really beautiful and scenic, and she goes there. And the way that he meets Shiki, she's on that weird that cat robot comes out, and they kind of meet each other. It kind of harkens back to how kind of Lucy meets Natsu for the first time, where she shows up in a random town. And ends up meeting Natsu, and the way that she meets Shiki. I really, really love the intro. That opening episode where you see the robots, they just wanted Shiki to kind of they wanted the Shiki to leave the world, because they knew that he was never going to live a fulfilling life if he never left that planet. So that first episode where like the robots pretend to kidnap Rebecca is really, really fun. I thought it was an absolutely great first opening episode. The setting itself is great. I love the idea of a space fantasy, because there's so much you can do with the space fantasy as a setting if you think about it. It's not too different from fantasy. It's just like, okay, like you can still have all these crazy monsters and all this crazy stuff that you would expect from fantasy, but you can do it to a better degree, I would argue, with space, just because it's like, oh, you landed on a different world, you know, of maybe like an ice biome, and it's just like you can make all these crazy ice monsters that don't have to make sense because it's a space fantasy, but it's like, oh, it's an ice world. So it's like, I love the setting. It's like you have all these different sectors of planets, and there's this, of course, it works out really well. It's a really fun setting. I really love the idea of the space fantasy. I love like the core premise of like the ship. I really like the ship of Eden Zero, and it's like this crew that pilots it. Like instead of Fairy Tale where it's like a guild, like Eden Zero is just like, hey, it's a big giant ship that they go around on exploring the cosmos. And I love it. Like, again, I love all the main characters. I love Rebecca, Shiki, like Wise, and all the other different characters. And they're different enough. Shiki is obviously, I think Shiki's a little bit better than Natsu. That's my biggest gripe with Fairy Tail. Natsu never really ever grows as a character, and I feel like Shiki does a little bit, even in the first season. And but I mean, they're close enough where it's like, oh, Shiki's not, I guess, too different from Natsu at the moment, but I know that from what I've heard that in seasons 2 onwards that he kind of does. But I really I like Rebecca more than like Lucy. They're different enough, but I like Rebecca actually more. You see that when those thieves kidnap Happy, and you find out like Happy's backstory about her, like Happy died, and like Rebecca had to end up rebuilding him to like a mech basically, but. That moment where she does the play of the game is the Reaper ult, and she ends up just going ham, and that really aggressive side of her to where she's not too timid. Like Lucy in Fairy Tail was like a little bit too timid and it lasted too long, but aggressive, Rebecca will kick your shit in. And I really like that she has that like kind of aggressive side of her where she'll just go in and like just get people. I really like that moment where when she gets the guns and just does the Reaper ult, though. It's actually really funny. Instead of magic in this one, you have ether, but it's not like magic in Fairy Tail where everyone can use it. Ether's like ether like gives you like it's like a special trait like that gets boosted. Like Shiki has like abnormal strength and can do all this crazy stuff. We see Homura, and she has this crazy sword abilities that she can do with it. So it's a really cool system. I still think it's not, from the first season, it doesn't get fleshed out enough. I'm hoping in season 2 it explains it a little bit better. Season 1, it's like, hey, like this is it, and you really only see a couple people that end up having it. So I'm kind of hoping in season 2 it gets it fleshed out a little bit more. I'm not looking into like a super in-depth synopsis on how it actually works. No one really is. It's space magic, but I hope they kind of explain how it works a little bit better. The supporting cast, the main characters are great. Again, I like Shiki. I like Shiki more than Natsu. Even in early Fairy Tail, Natsu kind of irked me a little bit. But I like Shiki a little bit more. I feel like he's a little bit more grounded. I love Rebecca a lot. I think she's a really good character. I really like Wise. Wise is really fun. He kind of has that rogue kind of like personality that kind of works a lot. To where he's like a chaotic good kind of rogue. Like he obviously only looks out for himself, but there's moments to where he goes out of his way to kind of look out for the crew. Homura is awesome. Kind of reminds me of Kagura from Fairy Tail a little bit, but absolutely badass character, super hot. JC Staff was cooking when they do a lot of her shots. I'll just say that. But JC Staff cooked a lot in general with this anime, and that is why JC Staff will always remain one of my favorite animation studios. JC Staff is always in the kitchen, and they always do a really good job. But I mean, all the other characters too, like Hermit, Witch, Sister. You get a little bit of Valkyrie. I really like Sister. I just want to get out of the way. Sister is best girl. Sister is 100, and that's saying a lot because Hiro Mashima has a very long lineup of best girls that he has in a series, and Eden Zero is no different. But I think Sister probably wins for me so far. Again, season 2 might change my mind, like, oh, it's Rebecca Herman or someone else, but we'll see. But Sister stays in the front right now. I just like her character in general. She's kind of this like shit talking kind of like. I mean, she's not, but she kind of reminds me of like a shit talking, like not as vulgar version of kind of Revy a little bit from Black Lagoon. But I like Sister a lot. Valkyrie's really cool. Valkyrie's a badass, but we don't get to see much of her. So like the story season 1, it's pretty good. I think it's a good. So the whole point of season 1 is just to kind of get you to the world, whether it be from the time that Shiki, Hamura, and Wise has to go to Epstein's planet to get back Rebecca and some of the other girl. Wait, Epstein's. Oh, I'm sorry. The frog guy, not Epstein's planet. I'm sorry. But whether they have to go to get Rebecca back to save her from that creepy kind of like human trafficking kind of world that they had to them going up against Hamura's mother, and of course the introducing of Drac and Joe. A lot of it's really good. It's kind of just to get you where they get. My favorite probably part of the story is probably where they go into the alternate reality to go get Hermit's kind of soul back. That scene of like when they're all creating their characters, and obviously Rebecca chooses like a hot cat chick, and then like Wise shows up and he's like this hot chick, so he can look at his tits and everything else. And Hamura like chooses like this this really androgynous kind of like prince, and then Shiki shows up and he's just like this max strength, 0 intelligence build. And he just shows up and he's like this super buff, he doesn't even look out. No one even knows how he walks. The game itself is really fun. Like it kind of introduces you to Drac and Joe in that arc, and like, hey, I guess it's that guy who works for him, and they're trying to get back Hermit, and it does the whole virtual world thing really fun, to where like, oh, some of the NPCs end up helping out. And they're trying to wipe out the town. It's a really good arc. Made me like Hermit. At the end of it, made me like Hermit. I kind of, when they first kind of met Hermit, like she's like, oh, I hate people. I'm just like, oh, okay. It's going to be one of those arcs. Okay. I'm just like, all right. I hate that kind of arc, but all right. Like, it's just like, but by the end of it, I think it worked out enough. And I ended up liking Hermit. She's a cool character. A lot of the side characters are really fun. I love Moscow. He's a goofy ass. Sister's always trying to keep him in check with his do not touch button. Moscow's really fun. Nino is definitely. I love Nino too. I can't tell if that's Hiromashina's self-insert character, because when they meet Nino on Hamura's mom's planet, like her freaking like slave mine, she ends up running over there. He works for her, and he has like this anime girl on his shirt, and like his whole tagline is "Anime will save the world." I'm like, he's just like me for real. I love Nino a lot. Nino's really fun. I feel like Nino is basically like just weebs in general. But I like him though. He's a fun character. He's just a giant weeb. A lot of Zhao Mei, the fortune teller, basically the narrator of the story too. We get to see her a little bit when she throws them in the arena when they go to meet her, because Shiki's trying to figure out where Valkyrie is basically. And she throws them in the arena, and she goes from like, I can't tell, for those of you who read or like who know Warhammer, I can't tell if Zhao Mei is a servant of Khorne or Slaanesh at this point. She gets really aroused when she throws people in the arena to watch them fight to the death because of the. It's good. I like Zhao Mei too. She's a fun character. Kind of has that mysterious kind of aura around her, and like she's not telling. There's something that she knows everything that happens, but doesn't try to tell too much. The grand kind of prize, and kind of the great thing that that you're going to end up on eventually. Well, there are two things that Ziggy. So Shiki's trying to find his grandpa, and we know that Mother is going to play. It's probably going to be. It's not boss really, but the end game is them trying to find Mother. Mother is kind of like in the series is kind of like the Holy Grail kind of thing. Like it's like all the guilds like really want to like go to her. and it's like the thing that she's coveted the most. She's this massive, I do mean massive, just super being, kind of like Galactus for those who know Marvel, like this Galactus size, being that oversees and knows everything in the galaxy. And like the whole thing is, if you reach Mother outside of like soccer space, then you can end up like she grants you any wish. I have a theory that I want to save it. I want to see season 2 before I kind of like throw my crackpot theories out there for what's probably going to happen with her. But I think she's an interesting enough character. She knows about Shiki and Ziggy for sure. So I really can't wait to see how they kind of develop that. Overall, it's a great series. I like a lot of the characters. It has a solid setting. I really like the setting. I feel like it would have been a lot more popular had they released it outside of Netflix onto Crunchyroll. I think Netflix, when it takes series, it just kills its popularity, and that's, at the end of the day, that's the main kind of point of a show, is to drive up manga sales if it's based off a manga, or for light novel if it's based off a light novel. But I'm excited. I saw it when it came out on Netflix, but I'm excited. I'm really happy that Crunchyroll ended up taking the license from it. I'm happy that Netflix didn't renew its license on it, but I also hate that Netflix, because Netflix isn't going to forego its licensing rights with it. I don't think I've seen them do that with an anime series. Like, they still, unfortunately, have like Seven Deadly Sins, for example. I'm not sure if they still have Blue Exorcist, because I remember they had like the first season or something, and I remember like the second season or something ended up coming on Crunchyroll. That's the problem why I don't like series being licensed by Netflix. It's just like, hey, how like they don't renew it a lot, unless it's like Seven Deadly Sins is the only time I've seen them like renew it actually. But the whole point is, I think that I'm glad that Crunchyroll got this series. I'm glad they kind of did that recap video, because again, I've been seeing a lot of like on Twitter, I've been seeing like a lot of people they're really excited about it. They like Eden Zero. I think it's an underrated show. I really do. I think it'd be a lot popular if it had it released on Crunchyroll. That being said, it is what it is. I'm definitely gonna. I haven't started the second season yet, but I'm probably gonna start it this weekend or next. I'll end up doing a full video on the first half. If it's a 24 core season, which I think it will be, I'll do the first core. I'll do my review of the first core, so the first 12 or 13 episodes when it's done, and then I'll wait until the other one's done to do the second one. There's some, but we'll see how it goes. I don't know. There's certain series that are coming out for spring. I'll probably do I'll do a video on the first episode. Like there's that zombie show that's coming out on Hulu that I'm kind of excited about. Certain other ones, but overall, I really enjoyed Eden Zero. It's a solid series. It's really fun. This is kind of how I would summarize it for the very for those of you who enjoyed Fairy Tail, like especially early Fairy Tail, Eden Zero has really, really strong vibes on early Fairy Tail. Like from the openings and outros, like it feels like early Fairy Tail, and it does a really, really good job at just throwing you into the world, really making you like those characters, and just you just have a lot of fun with it. And again, I really like Hiro Mashima. I like his sense of humor, the way his art design, his characters. He just has a really good. Hiro Mashima does a really good job at like making fun characters in fun worlds. He does a solid job of that, and he does a good job at building tension as well, and building relationships between characters. Even though some of those ships haven't sold yet, but he does a really good job at like building relationships between characters. He did a great job with like Natsu and Lucy, Urza, and Jalal, and like Gray. Like he does a really good job at like building relationships between characters. Already ship it, Rebecca and Shiki. I actually hope it happens, because I just don't think if Lucy and Natsu have happened in Fairy Tail yet, but. He's a really good job at building tension as well. So I'm excited to kind of see where the series goes. And after the second season's done, I'll probably catch up on the manga. Because I'm really excited to hopefully. For those of you, if you know, you know. I am hoping that the ending is exponentially better than the ending of Fairy Tales. I'm glad at least, it's not completely over 100 year quests going on, but I'm hoping its ending is actually more neatly tied up than Fairy Tales it was. So that's my overall thoughts, and I really enjoyed Eden Zero. I'd recommend it. It's really fun. Has fun characters. It's just a fun thing to throw on and have a lot of fun with it. You'll like the characters. You'll have it. You'll definitely have some laughs. There's some drama in it. There's some good stuff in there, and you kind of learn to grow the characters. Again, the first season, it's just kind of building out, fleshing out the world, just kind of making you care about it. And those are my thoughts overall on it. I really enjoyed it as a series, and I'm excited for the second season. Let me know, for those of you who've seen Eden Zero, let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. And for those of you who are watching the second season, let me know if the second season is like really good. If you would recommend, if you think that if I like the first season, that I'm gonna like the second one too, because I'm really excited about seeing the second season. Well, that's all I got for this one, guys. I'll see you guys in the next one, and I will see y'all later.